So, Joe, I think that a lot of people wonder, they want to make money, but they wonder, what should I focus on? What should I meditate on? Or what should my affirmations be? Or what should my daily thoughts be? Because they have so much time in the day that they can fill their heads with something and they think, what can I do with that time? What can I think of to be constructive, to keep moving toward my financial goals? So, what do you do?
And you want me to answer without being paid? You want me to answer just sitting here?
Well,
You caught me relaxing,
if
staring
I show
at...
you these $2 bills, hold on a second.
Yeah, let me see.
Need $2 bills.
How many
Get them
you
at the
got?
bank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah, you don't
7,
got enough
8,
there.
9, 10, 11 times 2. That's 22. But they're $2 bills, Joe.
Yeah.
They're lucky. All right, we'll start with that.
Yeah, we'll
Let's
start
see
with that.
See how far we get with
So the first thing you notice is that this is how I think about money.
that. Okay.
It's like there's money opportunities everywhere. You asked me to start answering a question about money. Well,
Get paid.
get paid for that. There was a metaphysical teacher, Stuart Wilde. Did you ever meet him or hear of him?
Did not.
He's still around, but in the early days he would say, when people show up, bill them. I showed up, you showed up.
I got
This is your
bills.
bill.
I got
Yeah,
bills.
You got billed.
You like the money clip too?
Is it
Comes
worth
with a money
something?
clip. Maybe 30
Yeah, it
bucks.
looks like a paper clip. It looks like a very poor person's paper clip. You know, one of the things that I do is
It was 30 bucks on Amazon.
I carry things that are more valuable than this.
All right, I'll take that. That's worth more than that. This is 30. That's only 22.
Yeah, but that's because you bought it on Amazon. It doesn't mean it's worth that.
I wanted the thin one. I didn't want to take out my pocket.
Well,
Right.
you know what? You get points for trying.
All right,
You know
thank
what? I kind of feel sorry for you here.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
But you notice that this is all about money. What we're doing is talking about value. When I do carry cash or I do carry things, I want it to remind me of wealth. And from a hypnotic standpoint, I guess it's a trigger or an anchor, so that I'm always thinking about it and I'm looking for opportunities. And I don't mean it in any sort of neurotic or obsessed way. I just mean that there's opportunities all the time. So to answer your original question, with all the silliness put aside, it's the idea of listening for complaints and problems, because those are money-making opportunities. When you're standing in line and you or somebody in line says, boy, why don't they speed this up? Why don't they do something about this? There's an opportunity for a product or service. So what I do is I turn that on in my head, and if I find myself saying, I don't know, like this morning I couldn't get room service because the phone didn't work. You know, why isn't there an intercom system? Why isn't there this red button like they have in some places, and I push the red button and then the service light goes on down in dining, and I go, oh, Dr. Vitale in room, blah, blah, blah.
Is that the White House where you normally stay?
Well, theirs doesn't always work. But,
Okay.
you know, the times I was there and I tried it, you know, nobody came. Well,
The security.
security. That was in the dream anyway.
That's right.
But I think the number one thing to do is just pay attention to what you're complaining about or what you hear other people complain about, because those are opportunities for products or services. When you tune your mind that way, you're going to start hearing them all over the place. And a lot of them are going to say, somebody needs to do something, I don't know what to do about it, and maybe that's not the one for you to chase. But when you do have one and you think to yourself, I can do that, or I can resolve that, or I can create the product, or I can create the service, now you're thinking like an entrepreneur, you're turning on the wheels in your brain, and you're starting to see opportunities.
Yeah, and when we were in a cab ride to here today, to our filming location, you saw that we were stuck in traffic.
Which I'm not used to. I live in the country. I mean, I'm not stuck in traffic.
I'm not used to traffic myself, so we were in Manhattan, stuck in traffic, and you mentioned the idea of a jetpack. You know,
I did, yeah.
What would and then we started talking about that, and then it was a wonderful lesson you were able to share with me in that moment about not censoring yourself, about
Right.
going with the flow, even if it sounds ridiculous or crazy.
Right.
It's an idea, you can put it out there.
Yeah, and I think most people, the thing that they do is they talk themselves out of their own good. They talk themselves out of their own creativity. They talk themselves out of their own ideas. Yeah, we were stuck in traffic, and I semi-jokingly thought, boy, if we were in the Jetsons age, there'd be somebody that would fly by in their little taxi cab in the sky, more or less, and they would pick us up. They'd take us right out of the cab and say, would you like to be taken out of traffic? And I would say, yes, I would. Here, take this pile of $2 bills.
Take Steve's money and fly me out of traffic.
It's on him.
What about me?
Steve, I'll catch you later. Catch your own Jetson
The
pack.
clip's more valuable.
catch your own Jetson pack as I fly off. So it began as a joke, but I honestly, without turning on the negative aspect of the brain and just allowing that to come up, that is a workable idea. I don't know how to make it work, and I'm not going to pursue it because I just don't feel like it, and that's not something for me to do. Somebody listening, watching might do it, you know, and it's a matter of finding out how would you make that possible and running with the idea. I know that at this point in time, I don't have enough research. I didn't Google it or anything to find out if it exists, what would make it possible, but either very soon, if it doesn't already exist, now or sometime in the future, somebody is going to provide something along those lines. But the reason I was able to come up with it is that I just allowed it to come up. I didn't slam the door on it, and then when the idea came and I said it, something as a joke to begin with, I thought, no, that's actually a good idea, and let me share it. I didn't go and get critical with myself or the idea.
Yep.
And I think all of these are elements on how you come up with the ideas and pursue them.
Yep, absolutely. And I was thinking yesterday, which I think is how we got on some of that topic in the cab, about, because we've been working together for a few days now on our new product.
Sure seems like a lot more than a few days.
That's right.
Hasn't it been years? Haven't we worked on other products
Well,
together?
on the launch of this, Wealth Trigger 360, the product we're launching as we make this, yes, we worked for a few days in launch, but we 6 months at least in production, and then years we've been working together creating stuff, all kinds of products that we think will help people, and turns out we were right, they do help people. So we were talking on our way in our second or third day here of launch mode today in the cab about the idea. I was sharing with you my thoughts about you, which are that you are a person whose mind is open. Your mind is open and you don't censor. Like yesterday we were doing some videos, talking about new products that will help people, and your mind was open. Now, it's interesting, at this point in your life, you're 61, is that right? Most people, when they are, even younger than that, they just, that's it. It's you know, it's tunnel vision. They're doing what they're doing and that's it. They're going to and coming from work or whatever they're doing. Your mind's not like that. Your mind's completely different. It's wide open. How do you do that?
You mean that as a compliment, right?
That is definitely a compliment.
Because I would answer differently. It wasn't a compliment. It's like, which direction are we going here?
Why do you think like that, Joe? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you, right? So the question is, how do I think open-mindedly?
How do you keep your mind elastic? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it open?
Well, the first thing that I think I pointed out is that I didn't always think like that. Because of the homeless years, poverty years, struggle years, desperate to try to get published, I wanted to be an author, I thought in a very singular, focused, blinders-on victim mentality. I didn't see opportunities. I didn't even see other ways that income could come to me. I remember one of the first times I had a coaching session with a guy I had met at a party who offered to give me coaching, and he didn't want to charge anything because he wanted me to really taste it, and he thought that, you know, I would make a difference, or he could make a difference in my life. And he was pointing out that money could come to me from a lot of different ways. It was like a big pie, and I was insisting that it only came to me through writing. It could only come here. And it took me forever to open up my brain to realize that it could come from other ways. We would play with ideas like, you know, you can win the lottery. Well, that's what a lot of people think. So that's one way to nudge your mind open a little bit. You can inherit it, which a lot of people think, you know, it's possible. That opens my mind a little bit. But it took a long time for me to start to realize that if I started to think like an entrepreneur will look around and go, wow, if I create this product, I create this service, open this franchise, whatever it happens to be, you create other ways for money to show up. It doesn't have to come from one way. So that kind of thing opened my brain. And then, as I was telling you, reading the stories and hearing the stories on audios of people like Jay Abraham and some of the marketing legends that are still around, I would listen to them and marvel at it and go, how are you thinking like that? How are you hearing and seeing opportunities that I'm not seeing? And I realized that the more I heard their stories, the stories were opening my mind. The part of my brain was just being opened up more by realizing what was possible. That virtually anything is possible. And that's where I'm coming from mentally. And then, of course, I wrote the book, and I was telling you about that earlier. There's a Customer Born Every Moment, the book on P.T. Barnum. And I was fascinated with Barnum. Most people think of him as the circus guy, but he was an entrepreneur, he was a politician, he was a speaker, he was a writer, he was a publicist, jack of all kinds of trades. Lived 80 years, and he was very, very active. but he saw things that other people weren't seeing. And one of the most memorable is when he met a little boy named Charlie Stratton, and he was told, Charlie is never going to be more than 3 feet tall. And everybody else looked at little Charlie and said, oh, that's so sad. P.T. Barnum looked at him and said, that is a superstar. He renamed him General Tom Thumb. And I marveled at that, thinking, how did Barnum see that fame and fortune? Because General Tom Thumb did become a multimillionaire back in the 1800s, lived to be 40-some years old, and had a degree of notoriety that most people just never can even imagine. But without Barnum, he would have died unknown, and everybody would have felt sorry for him. So by reading all these stories, hearing all of these stories, it got me to expand my thinking. And instead of looking at something and imagining that everybody else sees it the same way, I look at it and go, I wonder what else it could be. I wonder what else can be done here. We were talking earlier, and again, somewhat kiddingly, about Brooklyn pizza. I've not had Brooklyn pizza, but I hear it's a legendary thing, and that there's Brooklyn pizza on every block. And then I said something about what is a Brooklyn pizza, and it's like, whatever you want it to be. And that led to, well, there could be a recipe book of nothing but Brooklyn pizzas. Nothing but that in there. Another version of this could be it's a directory of Brooklyn pizzas. And these days, of course, in the old days, it would be printed, and you can sell it as a book. These days, it can be an ebook, it can be online, it can even be free as a lead generator for the pizza places themselves. Maybe they pay to be in it. But this is my brain working. You know, we're taking something that other people first might not even think of, and then second, if they do start talking about, wow, there's a lot of Brooklyn pizza around here, that's as far as it goes. But if I start saying to myself, I wonder what else this means, I wonder what else I can do with this, I wonder how I can have fun with this. I start thinking of things like, what's the craziest Brooklyn pizza? What's the biggest Brooklyn pizza? What's the oddest Brooklyn pizza? And now these are publicity ideas for the pizza places in Brooklyn. And I start doing this and I get excited. I'm excited now thinking somebody needs to do this. This is an entrepreneurial money-making idea on Brooklyn pizza. But it's only an example of what's possible in any moment. That was our moment a little while ago. We didn't even have Brooklyn pizza, you know, but that still came up as a possibility.
That is absolutely amazing because most people don't think that way. And I think the reason they don't think that way is because they have at certain points in time, they thought, well, that would be a good idea. I better write that down. I might patent that someday. I might trademark that. I might write that book. I might write that screenplay. I might, paint that painting. But then they think, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. You know, nobody's going to buy that. That's ridiculous. And I don't have time because I've got my job. Mm-hmm. So I think the idea is to push through and have that initial success, and then you realize that it works, like you have, and you realize, hey, this stuff really works. I can manifest. What would you suggest to somebody who hasn't yet manifested anything, who needs that first initial breakthrough success?
Well, part of it is realizing what the self-talk is. And this is something, we both know very well as hypnotists, that a lot of people are talking themselves out, as I said earlier, they talk themselves out of their own good. They talk themselves out of their own ideas. Mm-hmm. They actually have to be aware of the self-talk and get past the self-talk. Instead of listening to the inner critic, which all of us have to a certain point, develop an inner cheerleader. Mm-hmm. And the inner cheerleader is the opposite. The inner critic is the one who's going to say, this is probably not going to work, you tried other stuff in the past. The inner cheerleader is going to say something along the lines like, this is probably the one that could work. We don't know that with 100% guarantee, but we don't know that it's going to fail either. So let's go out there and play the game. Let's go out there and find out, can we pull this off? And the cheerleader gets you to get the thing done. When you get it done, you can get it out there in the marketplace. I have no idea when I come up with ideas. Brooklyn Pizza Directory, I don't know. Maybe it's already done. I don't know if it's going to work. In fact, let me give you an example. This is how I love how this works. My personal trainer, Scott York, has come up with an ebook on sledgehammer workouts. And it's beautiful, and it's ingenious, and it's creative, and I wish I had thought of it. But he looked at a sledgehammer, and the sledgehammer has a very masculine kind of a feel to it, even the name, Sledge. Yeah. And he thought, well, what other exercises can you do besides just swinging it? And so he started to create all these different ideas. And he ended up creating videos, how-to stuff, he's got the ebook, he's selling it. So he's a friend of mine, he's telling me all this. Well, I have a few canes, antique canes, like the walking sticks, but I like the ones that are called system canes because inside the canes are things like a gun or a knife or a sewing kit nursing aids. I mean, there's a flute in one. There's another one. It's a violin. It's amazing what they came up with in the 1800s.
Oh.
But one of them was an exercise cane, and it was a heavy cane that you're supposed to use was you're walking and you swing it and so forth. So I told Scott, I said, you got the sledgehammer workout. I'm going to create the cane workout. And I would appeal to all the people at the AARP, all the people over 50 and so forth, or 55, whatever it is. They're using canes. Well, here's how you use a cane for fitness, self-defense, not just a walking stick. And my mind became alive. Now, the one thing that was triggering it was Scott and the sledgehammer. Then I started thinking, well, I have a cane. I wonder if I can make a cane workout. So I pursued it and said, well, the next step is for me to find out if somebody's already done it. I went online, and somebody has already done it.
Oh.
So there is an extensive cane workout, cane self-defense, cane you can buy. And
It wasn't
cane
your
you...
trainer, was it? The next day.
No, it wasn't him.
Okay.
He's an honorable guy. He
Did a
didn't do it.
sledgehammer on him, it was.
Right. But the point is, I got the idea, I honored the idea, and I listened to the inner cheerleader saying, we need to find out if this is out there. Since it was already out there, I said, well, Godspeed to the person who already has it. I could come up with a variation. I didn't have to stop there. I can still come up with the Joe Vitale, cane workout, and come up with some sort of kung fu routine using a cane of special making and special markings on it. The law of attraction cane.
I like it. For easy
But
gains.
you notice what I'm doing? I'm just having fun. I'm having fun, and I pursue the idea, and hadn't somebody not already done something with it, I would have pursued it enough to put it on the marketplace. And then I'd find out that people actually want this. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. If they do, great, I'm selling it. If they don't, it doesn't mean that I wasted my time. It doesn't mean that it was a bad idea. It means that I pursued a creativity technique which expanded my mind for the next one that's going to come. And I got a whole lot of airtime, so to speak, by practicing all of this. So the next thing that I pursue, I would already have created new brain waves and new ways of getting this tested by pursuing the first one.
Very nice. And so some people, yeah, they get that idea, then they kill it. So the cheerleader thing, does that get down to sort of money meditations that you would do about the idea? Do you have any formula for that of what you do every day to convince yourself this is going to work and manifest it?
Not really. I'm a guy who wants to follow my passion. So I'm following my passion, but I'm wise enough in the ways of the world, so to speak, to have an eye on money. I think it's a mistake to totally meditate on money and to think, I want money, let me attend money, let me attract money. I think that's the wrong focus. I think the focus should be on how can you help people, how can you have fun, how can you express your passion in such a way that other people are ignited by your passion and want to join in the fire, in the dance. And as a result of that, they want to do business with you. So I have an eye on money, meaning there's enough of a business mentality to go, I'm going to create this cane workout. And I really love the idea, and I have a cane, and this sounds fun, but I want to do it as a self-indulgent little pastime. I want to do it in such a way that I have a blast doing it, but I'm going to put a price tag on it so I can make money. And my mindset is pretty much like Walt Disney, who said, I want to make money from my movies so I can make more movies. And I love the purity of that. I want to make money from my Brooklyn pizza book or whatever, or I want to make money from the cane workout so I can do more of these kind of things because they're a blast to do. So that would be the kind of meditation. It's more of a meditation on passion. It's more a meditation on doing what I love with the old Stuart Wilde thing. When they show up to see what you're doing that you love, bill them.
Nice. So rather than a money meditation, you have a passion meditation, which I think a lot of people kind of miss the mark on that. I think they focus on their deficit. They don't have money they need to get from negative whatever, even to zero, and hopefully +1 and maybe beyond. But it's a negative striving that a lot of people have when they're first starting out, or when they're not believing themselves, they haven't had anything work out yet. So you're saying rather than focus on the financial aspect, follow your heart and see how you can monetize that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. What do you think of that? Do you have a spin or?
No, I think that's great. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, when I first got into hypnosis, people were wondering, hey, another, all right,
Yeah.
wow.
That's for agreeing with me.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I agree.
This is my accountant.
Okay. I agree that it's good to agree with you, by the way. Joe. I don't know if I mentioned that. And
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And I agree that that's your accountant.
Right.
Also, I want you to be aware of that. And he can be my accountant now too. And manage my my money. I'm now up to $6. Oh, there's another 30. I'm gonna throw that in the pot.
Yeah, I'm not, that's a questionable 30, by the way.
Yeah. It's supposed to be titanium, but I don't know. We better check this out. At any rate.
No, anybody can say anything is titanium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's pure. It's moon metal. It's the only one ever made. So it's worth.
Okay. $2?
It's worth the coffee cup and the all the amethyst you have. Is it
Yeah.
amethyst?
No, these are rubies, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I
It's
guess
worth.
raised the. Yeah.
Just it's worth a bunch of rubies. I just remember.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you about the.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
Yes.
I do agree with you that you have to follow your passion, you have to follow your heart, and if you want to make money, you have to be focused on that. When I first got into hypnosis, people were asking me, well, you know, what else do you do? What's your day job? And I still get that from time to time.
Huh.
Because they're not aware that you can make money as a hypnotist. Even when I was a full-time hypnotist, I don't even have to do it anymore. I just create products mainly. But even when I was doing that, they were wondering, how can you do that? Is that even possible? Hypnotists thinking that. You've probably come across that at some point too, just people not believing in themselves, not believing that that can be a full-time job. For me, it wasn't about that. I wouldn't care if I wasn't getting paid at all. For me, it was, I just really liked helping people. I really liked engaging with people. Yeah. And so it turned into something money-making, and I met the right people, and you and I met the right people, and it's worked out to be a wonderful empire. But that's not what it was all about for me, and I don't think that's what it was about for you. I think it's about creative expression and feeling good about yourself by helping people.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.